It's Joey B. We're doing the damn thing, and we're doing it on Blind Knowledge. BlindKnowledge.com is the spot that is hot. We're down here in sunny St. Pete. Yo, it's 20 degrees up north. It's 70 beautiful degrees down here, and we're just hanging. We're loving. Some of us go to Target. Some of us get the chicken tender sub at Publix. And some of us come on the live stream. 877-237-1143 is the spot. We're on Twitter, we're on Twitch. Yo, and we're just getting thicker and hotter. And it's getting, I just had a Latino beautiful chick just walk by. That's what I was feeling. I'm going to calm it down, though, yo. I'm going to calm it down because you know what we got right now? We got Dr. B. What's up, Dr. B? Dr. B.
So
where is he? Where is he? Oh, there he is, Dr. B, brother. Did you see that Latino chick just walk by, dude?
It's pretty fly.
Just playing. Just playing. It was in my head. I don't know if anyone else noticed that out there in Twitch, that there was really no Latino girl there. That's just my fantasy. Dr. B, brother from another mother. If you don't know him, y'all, he is a musician. He loves opera. And we're going to learn all about him. Dr. B, thank you for coming on the Blind Knowledge Podcast. What is going on, my man?
Thanks for having me, man. I'm doing really well. How are you doing today? How's your week been going so far?
Anxiety stricken, but doing well.
Me too. I got exams and assignments due, so yeah, I know the stress a little bit.
Yeah, man. Blind Knowledge has been around since 2020, and we just got on Roku. We just got on Amazon. We just got apps.
Oh, that's
amazing.
We
just brought on 5 new podcasts, Dr. B.
Wow, congratulations,
There's so much going on, man. And all I can think about is like, damn, I want to see my family and my friends. And all I do is look at this computer screen, and that's beautiful with me. But sometimes you got to walk away from all of the workaholic syndrome.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
You feel that with me?
Yeah, you got to take a break. You got to take some me time. Yeah, for sure.
So you're a musician, man. You're doing the damn thing on Spotify, and if you haven't heard them, and we try to bring you some really, really cool stuff. As a musician myself, I've been playing a long time. I got to say, Dr. B is really cool. I didn't know the guy. Here he is, by the way. I didn't know the music. I heard it. I was like, dude, we got to bring him on.
Oh, thank you.
So let's start here. How did you get started in music?
I kind of fell into it. I mean, I won't bore you with all the minor details.
No. I want to know. Were you 4? Were you 5? Were you 7?
Well,
like, what was it, man? Like, what is it about music that got you going as a kid and you hung on to it? Or what got you here, basically?
Well, my brother and I, we grew up pretty abused by my mom, mostly.
Oh, man.
And one of the things I felt like when I was a kid.
I'm sorry, Dr. B.
Oh, I appreciate that. I know. Thank you. But I'd like to think that I've moved on from that. But when I was a kid, I had this tiny little radio, right? This AM FM radio. And it was right next to my bed. And I had to be in bed every day by 8 o'clock. And I always had a hard time falling asleep. The days weren't that great. So I would kind of be up till 10, 11, 12. And I was just lying there in my bed. And when it got around 10 o'clock, I think it was around 10 o'clock, one of the radio stations I would listen to, they would start playing opera music and chamber music. And when I would sit there, and it was all in Italian. I don't speak Italian. I never understood the words. But the music just kind of calmed me down, and I really connected with it. And it was at the time, it was just music. But now that I look back at it, at the age that I was at the time, I realized that it was kind of like my soothing factor, my comfort factor. And as I got older, when I started becoming a teenager, I was really into hip hop. But the thing that I liked the most was scratching and DJing. And that really changed my perspective on music, and the fact that you could take these records and use your hands and to
Yeah.
make something entirely new out of it, that kind of blew my mind. So a friend of mine, his name's Shai Haddad, and he's a platinum selling artist in Israel.
Interesting.
But we met each other in Montreal, Canada. And when I got older, I went off to New York City. I started doing my thing, and Shai went off to Israel, and he became like this big rapper in Israel.
Wow.
Yeah, but when we were younger, it was so cool because like I know who he is now. But Shai sold me my very first turntables. He had these Technique 1200s. They were brand new, and Shai was like, he was messing around with it, and he liked the turntables, but he realized he's
Nice.
really a vocalist,
Okay.
and I realized I'm really a DJ. So
Okay. So
so Shai
there was some discovery happening
yeah,
here.
yeah. So Shai says, he's like, listen, man, I'll sell you my tables. They're brand new. Gave me a great deal on it. I picked up a mixer and
That's always good.
I worked really hard. I was doing a paper route at the time.
Ooh, tough gig.
Yeah. And I
Tough
used to get
gig.
up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., saved
Hmm.
up all my money. Then I started doing these weekend paper routes that delivered flyers and circulars. And they paid
Oh God.
a little bit more money. So I saved up all my
Hmm.
money, bought these tables off Shy, and my friends didn't see me for maybe 4 months. At this time I was 16, and
All
I
right.
was
So Dr. B, just want to
yeah.
jump in there. So you're 16 years old. You're scratching on tables. You got a best friend. Would you say that you're just coming up in the area? Would you say you have super skills, or you're just trying to learn from others?
At this point, when I first started, I'm new. Like I don't know how to do anything
Like,
right.
what was your perspective back then? Like, were you trying to be the headliner, or were you trying to get in with the crowd?
No,
I'm
no,
just
no,
curious.
no, no, no. My thing back then, it wasn't even about DJing parties. It was I
Okay,
wanted to be a turntablist. I wanted to be
right
like the
on.
guys in the movie Juice. I saw that movie,
That's cool
and
as hell.
I was like, "Holy shit, this is like you could do that with a record?" Like, and I bought all these videos, these scratch videos,
Mhm.
right? Here's the crazy thing. The world champion, A-Track, he became world champion in I believe it was 1997 at 13. I know him. And I used to go he used to
Really?
DJ. I met him through my wife, who's just an amazing human being.
Shout out to Mrs. Dr. B, by
Yeah,
the
her name's
way.
Ellie. And anyways, Ellie used to be a hip hop artist, and she took me to this record store, which was like a DJ store, production store, but they also sold records.
Cool, man.
And it was run by Kano. And she took me there one day, introduced me to everybody. And Alan, who's A-Track, at the time he was like 12 years old, and he was
Mm,
always in there scratching every day after school, scratching, scratching, going crazy, right?
okay.
So I started really, yeah, hanging out and getting all the inspiration and vibes from all these different guys that I was meeting. But at the time, I was just new, right? I was still learning. And over time, I started getting really good and started hanging out with another champion. He almost won the Canadian championship. His name is DJ Blast, and we hung out. He showed me some stuff, and he was gave me a lot of encouragement.
Let me ask
And
you something, Dr. B,
mhm,
real quick. When you're scratching, are you using a certain record, or is it they consider like a scratch track, like a vinyl?
it depends. I think at the time I was
For
more
those that
into
don't know,
scratch
like
records.
let's break it down for them that don't know, because nowadays turntables, they're not like vinyl. They're not vinyl really. They're
Yeah, it's
like
all like
digital.
mostly
So
electronic.
yeah. So how'd you do it?
Well, I mean, I was using the old school vinyls, right?
Okay.
And back then, when you would scratch too much, you would actually hear the distortion on the record. It would
Ooh,
actually go. You'd hear
see,
like
that's cool.
you would hear that like you knew you scratched a lot when the record was distorted,
Time to
right?
spin that thing out to the crowd.
Yeah, and you don't get that now with the digital stuff. Nothing really
Gotcha.
ever breaks anymore.
Yeah, there's no feeling in it, man. You don't get that
Yeah,
warmth.
no, not
It's a
at
whole
all.
different thing.
And but what I do like about it is the pads. Like I like the way they've updated it, and now you can
Oh,
do
right
like
on.
finger
That's true.
drumming and things like that. You can incorporate different sounds.
Yeah.
So from a different perspective, I think it's better, but I also think it's worse at the same time.
Okay. All
Um,
right. 50-50 mix on it. All right.
yeah. So, anyways, as the years went by, I started hanging out with another DJ called Red Dread. And Red Dread really gave me the opportunity to shine. At this point in time, I was a turntablist. Like this is about maybe 3 years later. Or
Okay.
maybe two. And I would
Hmm.
at this point I'm spending easy 4 or 5 hours a day just scratching. Like
Damn.
I'd come home from school and just scratch, scratch, scratch.
Loving it though. Loving it.
Yeah, yeah,
Feeling it. Grooving.
I'm having a great
Yeah.
time. And then
That's
one
cool.
day, Red Dread he used to DJ at this clothing store on St. Catherine Street, Montreal. And we started hanging out, and he was making all this money selling mixtapes out of the store. The owner of the store loved the concept of having a live DJ because
Really
she would put the speakers outside the store.
nice. That's
So
cool.
he's playing all like Mary J. Blige and all these really dope tunes, and people are coming in, and it's bringing in more traffic.
Huh.
And I used to go there, and he'd never let me get on the tables, right? We'd hang
Hmm.
out, but I would bring like 4, 5, 6 records of mine, and I would just wait for the opportunity.
Dude,
So this went on.
did you find that as a challenge?
I I think that to me, I was trying to be very mature about it because this wasn't
Ooh.
my world. This was his
Okay.
world.
You know what? That's really cool of you to say because if it was me, I'm like competitive in things. I'm not gonna get too much into myself, obviously, but it's all about Dr. B. And by the way, Dr. B over on Spotify, check him out. He's I am Dr. B6 over on all socials. Dude, I'm wicked
Yeah.
competitive, just from sports and shit. I want to be the headliner. I want to fucking win. And you're saying that you were able to groove and just kind of maturely do your thing, right?
Yeah, I didn't
That's a
well,
very respectful way to be.
oh, thank you. But to me, we're friends, right? I mean, that we're friends
Yeah,
first.
of course.
So
Yeah, no
I
one's trying to
also
conquer anybody, of course.
well, I just feel like he was also older than me too,
Yeah.
right? And
So he's guiding you.
well, he had like a little girl. I think she was
Oh,
like a year, maybe a year and a half.
okay. So this dude had a family life as well. He was.
He was taking care of his kid.
Wow.
He was busy 5 nights a week DJing all over the city. He was one of the most popular DJs in the
No
city at the
kidding.
time.
No kidding. Wow.
And I was grateful that we were friends and he was willing to teach me things. And I thought he did his best teaching without saying a word. I would just literally watch him. I would sit, like, I'd get a crate and sit next to him and just watch him play for 4 or 5 hours straight. And then what I would do is I would look at what he was doing, what records he was choosing, and then I'd look at the crowd.
Hmm.
And then I would see the reaction of the crowd. And I would see when more people would come in. And I also paid attention to the time of day,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So if it's 4 o'clock on a Friday, are people storming in as much as maybe 7:30, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock,
Oh, that's an interesting
right?
perspective.
And when they
Yeah.
come in, and more importantly, when they come in, what are they buying? Are they buying jeans that cost $100 each? Are they buying shirts? Are they buying tank tops? Are they buying shoes? And then when they get to the cash, that's where we were set up
So hold up,
at the
hold up, hold.
cash.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Are you in like a Macy's selling $100 jeans, or is this your
No, it
merch
it was
table? Like,
it this
what?
this was a clothing store. Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
It
yeah. I'm just
wasn't
trying to
owned by
understand because this is
it wasn't
wild.
yeah, yeah, it was one of the biggest clothing stores for like hip hop clothing.
Okay, and
Uh,
this is up in
um
Montreal, right?
this yeah, in Montreal. I don't
Okay.
believe it's still there now, but
Okay.
in the early late
Hmm.
90s, early 2000s,
Okay.
it was open
Okay.
for at least 10 years. Okay.
Okay.
And
All
all
right.
the young kids and everybody knew to go to that store to get like um really cool hip hop clothing,
Get some
the
patches on your
latest
jeans,
G's,
maybe.
things like that.
Okay, I gotcha. I gotcha.
And we were set up right next to the cash. And as people were
Good place to
leaving,
be. Mhm.
right? As
Yeah.
people were leaving, Dredd would sell them a CD and say, "Oh, this is $10, this is $20," and people just got into the
Okay.
habit. And he was known for putting out breaking the latest tracks or the latest music because at that time in Canada, it wasn't like it is now where you could just jump on your phone and hear anything and everything.
Yeah, this is
Back
before social
then,
media.
yeah, yeah. So back then, we really relied on DJs uh, to tell us what was going on in the US
And
and what
trust the
were like,
DJ. The DJ had a
yeah,
lot of power.
a lot of power back then.
Yeah.
So everybody was always buying his CDs. And I noticed every week, every Friday, guaranteed, he would make easy like $1,000
What?
just in CDs and shit that he had there. And he was
Whoa.
putting all that cash in his pocket. I said, "Holy fuck."
Cash money?
Cash money. I was
Wow.
there. I saw him do it like a
Whoa.
million times. I couldn't believe it.
That's
On top
incredible.
of that, on top of that, he was getting paid by the owner of the store to
No
do
shit.
this,
So he's getting a stipend on top of that.
right? Yeah, so I'm
Wow.
like, "Wait a sec. If Dredd is
That's
making if
that's
he could pull in
amazing.
if he could pull in a G in cash
Right.
just on CDs,
Right.
imagine how much the store's making because they're not selling things for 20, $30. They're selling things for 100,
Dude,
200,
if he's making a
$500.
G, if he's making $1,000 a night, every night, at least in 1990s, the store's got to be making 5K. At
He
least I would think
he's
five times it, right? Maybe.
yeah. Oh, I listen, let me put it to you this way. Every salesperson in that store had to sell a minimum of $2,000 in retail
And you're
per day.
saying folks just came in $20 bills or Canadian dollars or
Yeah.
however it was, and they're buying merchandise. They're buying posters. They're buying whatever.
Yeah.
But this is before Amazon. This is before
Oh, yeah.
going, really anything
That would
online.
never work now, right? It's like it would
And
never work now, but back
let me
then,
ask you something, man.
yeah.
Straight up, was it the cool thing? Like, did these kids go to school the next day and be like, yo, I got these pants at that fucking show? Like, is that the incentive?
Well, everybody
Or
knew
was it
that
just the
if you
spot that
rock
was hot?
it was a combination of things, but
All the above. Okay, okay.
yeah, I would
I'm
say
trying to
everybody knew
I'm trying to
where to
picture
go.
it, man. Yeah, I'm trying to picture it. And I'm trying to picture it for the audience too, because
Oh, and it
it's
was also right next
yeah.
door to, HMV, right?
Okay.
And HMV at the time was a huge, huge music store to sell CDs,
Kind of like a
right?
Tower Records. Yeah.
Just like a Tower Records. So
Yeah.
her store, the owner of the store, was right next to that, right? And it was also
Wow.
on
That's a good
the
location.
most popular area in Montreal, which was St. Catherine and Peel Street.
Hmm.
So it was a combination of great location, the right businesses next to her location, combined with a product that everybody wants,
Mhm.
and combined with adding people like Dread into the store, it just became a winning situation
So, Dr. B,
for them.
man, how long were you doing this for? A couple years, few years?
Well, what happened was one day I was in the store and Dread had to go to the bathroom. So he looks at
Okay.
me and he goes, "Yo, Joe, you want to jump on the tables?" So at this point now, I've been waiting easy 6 weeks. And I would go there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and just sit there for 4 to 5 hours waiting to get on,
Oh
right?
man.
I would
Wow.
travel 1 hour to get there and 1 hour to get home by bus. And I never knew if I was going to get the opportunity. So one day he says, "Yo, yo, yo, you want to get on the tables? I got to go to the bathroom. You can do whatever you want. You know what to do. You've been here for like almost 2 months."
So this opportunity, this opens up. What'd
Yeah,
you do,
so I
man? What
was
happened?
ready. Oh, I said, "Oh my fucking God, I'm going to
Did
kill
everything
it."
just like slow down?
Well, let me
Kind
put it to you this way.
of.
I
Okay.
had something ready in mind to do. And
Nice.
I felt like, well, if
Smart.
I'm going to do this, I'm not going to do what Dred's doing. I'm not going to mimic what he's doing. What he's doing is a working program. That's his program. What
Mhm.
I really wanted to do was show the owner, forget about everybody else. I wanted to show the owner that I was different. I was somebody that can come in on a Wednesday and bring you the money that you make on a Friday by
That's
having me.
stellar.
So
Gotta go.
I said, how am
Gotta
I going to
go.
do that? I'm going
Yeah.
to do it with Flash. So I took
Mm.
out, he was playing Mary J. Blige and all these other records. So I said, no, no, I'm not going to
Ooh,
do that. So I took out these records that had these really dope beats and
nice.
I put it on. And I just went, dum, 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 dum. So I took so people were looking and they're like, oh, he changed it. So people start bopping their heads. So I took out my other record and I just went off. I just, rock the beat. Rock the beat, beat. So I started doing all this stuff. 5 minutes into it,
I'm
I'm
feeling it,
standing it
man.
up.
It's not even I can't even hear it, but I'm feeling the vibe, dude. Yeah, so what happened? What
So this
happened?
whole time I'm looking down at the tables. I'm not looking at anybody. I'm looking down at the tables. So about 5 minutes later, I look up. I swear to God, there was like 50 people
Mm,
standing in front of the table, all holding their bags, just watching me perform. And
nice,
I
dude.
and I was blown away. So I stopped, like when I finished and Jed came back, they all clapped. And I'm 18 at the time, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe these people liked what I was doing.
That's huge,
Right?
especially as I mean, being 18, of course, but for anybody, an applause is a beautiful
Yeah.
thing.
So I start freaking out, and Dred, he comes back and he's like, "Yo, yo, like I heard you. I heard the stuff in the back." So he gives me a pound. He's like, "Yo, that shit was really dope, though. That was awesome."
Nice.
So we're packing up, and I have this. I'm carrying his records for him, and I'm doing all this shit for him, packing all this stuff. So he leaves. So on my way out the door, I'm holding like two giant crates. The owner comes up to me, and she goes, "Wait, wait, wait, come here, come here, come here." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Hi." She's like, "Listen, I really liked what you did. I
Hmm,
was really impressed with that." And I said, "Thank you so much. I'm honored." And she says, "Jason can't do that. Jason's red red." She said, "Jason can't do that."
okay.
She said, "Jason's good, don't get me wrong, but he can't do what you do."
Huh.
I said, "Okay." She says, "How about you come on Wednesday when Jason's not here?" So I said, "Are you okay? That's cool with Jason?" She's like, "He works for me. Don't worry about him. I want you here on Wednesday and you bring in the people the way you brought them in today." I said, "Holy fucking Christ." So that's what I did.
That's
And it's
encouraging. So
yeah,
she
it's like
had you back, dude, and you must have felt awesome.
I was flooring. I just couldn't believe it because
That's great.
I never thought I was good enough to kind of like perform in front
And
of a
that's
bunch
the
of
thing.
people and
Don't you
things
agree,
like
Doc?
that.
Let me just jump in, Dr. B, because don't you agree sometimes it's tough to put yourself out there as a musician, as an instrumentalist, as a writer. Sometimes you don't know how you're gonna be perceived or if it's gonna get over or if people are gonna like it or if they're not gonna get it or if
Or
they're
if
gonna
they're gonna
clap or
connect
not,
to it.
if they're
Yeah.
gonna connect or not.
Yeah.
Um, it's a very ballsy yet scary kind of
It
thing.
is. It is. It is
And it
scary to
and you
put
did
yourself out like that. Yeah.
yeah, it really is because I don't know about you, man. I've gotten applause before when I'm playing guitar, and I've also gotten the horseshoe of death.
Oh Jesus.
Have you ever gotten the horseshoe of death? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, but I'm fortunate enough to say that hasn't happened to me.
I will describe it very quickly if you don't know what the horseshoe of death is. It's when you are playing live on a stage and the crowd suddenly starts to go backwards, like they're right in front of you, and then they go backwards and they spread out. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, they're all around the stage. There's no one in front of you, and there's just a big horseshoe going around,
Wow.
and no one claps.
Oh my God. That's yeah. Wow.
And yeah, that happened when I was in this band. It was oh yeah, the bassist walked off the show.
Oh
I
my
stopped
goodness.
playing guitar for like 2 years after that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, it's brutal. Um,
I'm
and that
sorry you had that experience,
and
man.
that's
That's
the
rough.
negative
Yeah.
side of it, but the positive side is just so beautiful, and it sounds like you hit that really well.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the first moments when I was a kid that I kind of gained confidence, and I also started gaining a lot of respect from the other turntablists
That's great.
within the city, and these guys were competing on a very high level. I never competed. I wanted to, but I just never had the confidence to really
Confidence is
to
tough,
compete.
man.
You
So
know,
let me ask you. We're
yeah,
25 minutes in for y'all that are on the live stream, and we're going to restream this on more live streams because we're not even
awesome.
on all the live streams. This will be on the audio. This will be on the video. This is the Blind Knowledge Podcast. Joey be hanging out with Dr. B. Check out Dr. B. He is I am Dr. B6. You can check him out on Twitter, IG, and we will definitely put him down in the bio, but especially Spotify. If you could recommend 3 songs, or let's just start with one, man. What's the number one song that people should check out that's yours on Spotify?
Oh wow, I have I would say almost 70 singles
You have
I've released.
70? Really?
I
Holy
think
crap.
so. I lost count. It might be 68, 71. I'm
Let's do
not
it.
sure.
All right, let's do a top three. Just
Um,
it's got to be tough for you because they're yours. I get that for sure. But just like if you could name 3 that are on Spotify right now for people to check out, what would they be?
yeah. Everybody seems to really like my song Tranquilo.
I
I
love
would,
that song. I
yeah,
agree.
thank you.
I agree. That's when I
Thank you.
wanted to do the interview.
Thank you. That was
Welcome.
my biggest song for, I would say, last year. Um,
Excellent.
my listeners really like a song I did with Elephant Man. It's called I Need a Doctor. And
Hmm.
there's a remix with Drip Monroe, who I think totally killed it. She's a female artist out in Toronto.
Wow. Okay.
Um, yeah, everybody seems to like that. What else? If I can name another one, I would say
Yeah, just off the cuff.
my song "Feeling,"
Feeling.
which is a EDM track.
Mhm.
Yeah, what everybody pretty resonates with. But I also have some acoustic songs. For
Really?
example, yeah, I have some acoustic songs, some heartbreak songs, where some pop tracks where I've had my listeners, reach out to me and say, this track got me through a really tough time, or I listened to this like 30 times in a row because I just broke
Wow.
up with my boyfriend. I mean, I was never, ever, ever expecting in a million years for anybody to reach out to me and say
Huh.
those type of things.
Wow.
So I thought that was like a really emotional, connecting experience.
Dude, you
I
helped
thought it was
someone through a
beautiful,
very
actually.
tough time. You helped someone through a very tough time.
Yeah, and somewhere, and I don't even know where they are. Like, I
You
don't know
didn't
what
even
part
know
of the
it. Yeah.
world they're
Isn't that
in.
wild?
I don't know how they came across my page or heard the songs, but they
That's
did,
wild.
and they just kind of listened to it. And then I've had kids, like I've dropped my kids off at school, and I've had kids tell me, "Hey, I love your music," or do you know what I mean? Or I heard this song, and I'm like, "What?" And then I asked my kids, "Did you tell them?" They're like, "No, I never." They're actually kind of embarrassed. They don't like to
Dr.
talk
B,
about their dad.
you remind me of a musician that I know. His name is Spree Wilson.
Okay.
Do you know Spree?
No, I don't, unfortunately.
I was on an airplane one day flying and I literally met Spree. We were sitting next to each other.
Oh wow.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, I play guitar and this, that, and the other thing." He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm signed to a label and all this stuff." You guys have the same vibe,
Yeah.
a very chill demeanor. You're welcoming. You're. I can see that like you're a writer.
Oh,
And let
thanks.
me ask you this though:
Yeah.
do you consider yourself more of a writer first and then a performer, or are you a performer, entertainer, then a writer?
No, 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 man.
Like, what's
I
your
would have
thing?
to say, if you look at the stuff that I'm putting out, the stuff that I'm doing,
Yeah.
I think we all kind of have to agree that I think I'm a writer first more than anything.
And that's what I was thinking too. I can feel it.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
definitely feel it. You got the soul
Yeah.
for
Oh, thank you.
sure.
Thank you. And
Absolutely.
I'm also the type of person where if you come to one of my shows, depending on what we're doing, I won't necessarily be on stage.
What do you
I'm
mean?
well, for most musicians, they get up on stage and they perform. They play their instruments, they sing their songs, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me, if you come to a Dr. B show, and I haven't done it in a very long time, but the new shows that I will be doing next year, in all the performances, it's all directed by me, it's all produced by me, it's all written
Hmm.
by me. but
Are you there? Are you in the back? Are you
you
up
won't
there?
necessarily see me on stage for every single performance because
Wow.
depending on what we're doing,
Hmm.
Dr. B doesn't need to be on stage. So if you look at like,
Wow.
I'm sure we'll talk about the asylum and some of these other stories that I'm working on. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
Based on the characters and the story that I'm trying to tell, it's more performance, it's more acting, it's more characters
Hmm.
combined with the storyboards and the artwork and the animation that I put in the background, combined with the special effects, combined with, um, yeah, I would say with special effects. I mean,
Sounds like
that's
that's coming
all.
from your
That's all
opera.
done by me, right? Like I do all
Okay.
the audio. I add all the special effects. I create that. For one of my
Wow.
other stories, my
Wow, damn.
album that's coming out next year, it's called Dragonfire. That's a 22 song album. Half of it is opera and cinematic music, and the other half is EDM with some hip hop and some pop music.
Dragonfire.
But yeah, so when you see that performance, what you're going to see is probably 8 songs
Hmm.
of the opera and cinematic part of the album. And that is
Huh.
done through, I would say, 4 or 5 different opera singers and actors, and they're telling a story, right? And then you'll see the artwork and special effects on the wall and a big screen in the background to give you more context, to give you more like a deeper
Yeah.
meaning of the story. And then
Wow.
you have these performers on stage kind of acting it out. You
So
don't really
you're
need to
not out
see
there. Yeah,
Dr.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
B. It's sorry, no, you don't need to see Dr. B in every single one of those scenes, right? And then
Right.
there's other scenes where it's only me, and you'll see me come out and I'm just finger drumming and I'm just doing my thing because it's based on the show and the story. This is the part for me to do this. So yeah, I would say I'm very heavily story based, writer based first, and I think that's what makes me different from every other musician. You don't really need another musician to do another drum and bass track or EDM song. That's kind of how I look at my music. I want my listeners to say, listen, I don't need to have like a million monthly listeners. I don't. And I'm okay with if I don't have that. But
Okay.
what I do want my listeners, even if I just have 50 or 100, I want them to say, I go to this guy's page because he's giving me an experience
Mhm.
that I just can't get with Beyonce. I can't get it with Drake. I can't get it with anybody else. He's doing something that no one else is doing.
So,
This
bro,
guy
you're
is
going
like,
up beyond a 3 minute and 30-second song. You are putting on a show of transitional music, transitional songs, caricatures, personality types,
yeah,
ups and downs, feelings, emotions, moods. Am I right there?
100%. 100%. I mean, I think you can kind of get a small sense of that in my new trailer,
Mm.
right? Um, with that story, what I'm trying to do, it's an EP, but I one of the things that I love more than anything is horror movies. I really do.
Oh, okay.
Like my
That's
wife
really
got
cool.
me into horror movies,
Nice, dude.
and they just and like we'll be in the movie theater, and I'll scream like a 12-year-old girl, bro. Like I'm jumping and I'm
Yeah.
like like holding on to her, and she's laughing at me. We've been best friends for so many years.
You a Selma Blair fan by any chance?
Who's
From The
that?
Exorcist. That's
Oh
the
yeah, yeah,
woman
yeah,
whose
yeah,
head
yeah,
went around and around and around.
yeah, yeah, definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
that's like the most I know with horror because I stay the f away from it. But it's such a positive sorry, a popular, right, not positive,
It
but
is.
sometimes, but popular genre for sure. So basically, you're saying that you got some horror feeling coming out in your songs as well.
Yeah, well,
A
like
little suspense.
with this EP, what I wanted to do was do something very unique and different. And when you
Mm.
listen to it,
It's like a
what I
movie,
what that's what I was hoping to create.
right on, dude.
I wanted people, I mean, you're just like everybody else, right? You might take transportation, public transportation,
Well, I
jump on
try
the
not to
subway,
be like everyone else, Doctor.
but but we all have some
Just played.
downtime, right?
Of course,
So
yes.
let's say you're on the subway and you put
Yeah,
on
man.
your headphones. I really wanted to have the listeners, when they put on their headphones and they listen to this EP, I want them to feel like if they close their eyes that they're literally listening to a movie. Like they could see it in their mind.
That's cool.
And in
That's
order
fucking
for
cool.
that to happen, it needs to be so much more than music. I mean, music to me, creating the music is the easy part, right? If you're a
Yeah.
musician, you know how to create a song. That's not the hard part. The hard part is, how do I transform their mind to where it is right now, whatever it is they're doing at the moment? Could be
Hmm.
anger, frustration, school, stress. How do I take them out of that mindset and transport them into my world and get them lost?
Hmm.
And I can't do that alone. That's when I hired voice actors to play these specific
Oh,
parts.
okay.
That's when I spent months and months and months just researching and studying sound and sound effects. And I
Well,
realized, you know
mhm.
what I love about the sound effects is that 99% of it, I could literally make it myself,
Let me ask you
right?
something, man. Let me ask you something. And
Yeah.
I think I already know what you're gonna say. Voice actors, AI. Are they the same, or would you take a voice actor over an AI voice?
I've never worked with AI.
You've never worked with AI, really?
No, no, and
So
I
you're like
refuse.
dude. You're
I
like
refuse.
you refuse. Whoa.
Why the fuck would I work with AI?
I don't know.
That's not fucking real, bro. It's
Okay.
not real.
All right,
You
bro.
know what the funny thing
That's
is, I'm
right
glad
on.
you brought this up the
Yeah.
other because just last week I was talking to a friend of mine about AI and art,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of digital art and different concepts that are being created by AI.
That's fake as hell.
Yeah, and a friend of mine asked me, "Would you ever like do that or consider that, or what about like the stuff that you make?" So instead of giving him a yes or no answer, I showed him some new storyboards that I had just finished with my team, right?
Cool.
I said, check this out. So when I explained to him what was going on, the story behind it, I ended off by saying, AI can't do this.
Mhm.
AI cannot make what I'm making. AI cannot create what I'm creating. Do you know why?
Why?
Because I'm the one creating it. I'm the only one that can create what I'm creating, because
Mhm.
it's coming from me. It's coming from my heart. It's
Mhm.
coming from my emotion. It's coming from my experiences. And these are my stories. A
I think
robot
that's so
cannot do
important,
that.
especially experiences coming
Yeah,
from your
a robot
experiences.
cannot create the type of connection and experience that I'm creating.
A robot didn't get their heart broken.
No, the robot doesn't understand that everything sounds perfect,
Yeah,
but you're missing this one note, this one sound, this one thing here, and
that's intricate.
that will make it sound amazing. For example, the trailer that I just sent you, when we finished it, I thought it was amazing. And then but I kept listening to it and kept going over and saying something's missing, something's off.
Really?
And then I went through some of my old files because I've worked with a lot of opera singers over the last 4 years, and I added a little bit of opera to it. And then when I listened to it all together, I said, okay, now it's perfect. Now it's got the emotion, the
Seems like
drama, the
this is a
acting.
consistent theme for you, man. This is really cool because you don't hear this. Sorry, I don't know what the hell that was.
No, that's
Uh,
okay.
you don't hear this a lot with musicians, and you know what? Maybe we should hear more, or maybe it's just your special sauce. Opera, opera, bro. Like
Operas to me
it's like
is
you said at the beginning of the interview.
yeah,
It calmed you back
yeah,
when you were younger and you couldn't and you were having a rough time. The
yeah,
head was going and going and going. The thoughts were going and going. But opera
yeah.
calmed you, and it seems like this this influence, this wicked cool influence,
It
has stuck
is.
with you. And this is your special. Big Mac sauce, bro. It
Yeah.
sounds so cliche, but dude, that's cool as hell, man.
Oh, thank you. I think and the funny thing is, you don't know how, as you're getting older in life, you don't know how things are going to end up. You don't
You
know
never
if,
know, man.
yeah, if an experience you had 20 years ago somehow is going to cause you to do something, now.
Yeah,
And I
that's
never
so
thought
true,
in a
man.
million years, I never thought in a million years that I would ever work with opera singers, uh, make cinematic music, special effects. I just never thought it was going to happen.
Mm.
And now, l- look what I'm doing now. Now I do it all the time. So for me, it's
That's
more
cool.
about,
And there aren't a lot of musicians or artists doing that, and I just respect that a lot. That's a great niche, and not only is it a
yeah.
cool niche, it sounds fucking, excuse my language, it sounds fucking awesome, dude. It sounds awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, man.
I think
You've stumbled upon a special mix for sure.
yeah. And I try not to overdo it because you could definitely overuse it just like with anything else. But I think
Yeah.
when you got a cool story and it's story based, not every story can be told through EDM music. Not
Yeah,
every
don't
story can
overdo
be
it.
told through
True.
hip hop music or pop music, right? And I
Yeah.
have a
That's
lot of other stories that are more pop, hip hop based. They have no opera music at all. But I just kind of take it one story at a time and
mhm,
just go with the flow and say, okay, I think this is the best way to go with it. Now, of course, there are other ways people can go with it and interpret it, but you got to go with your gut, right? You got to go with what
of
you think
course.
is the best and hope it connects with the people. I mean, and it won't work every time, but that's all you can do, right? All you could do is try
Yeah,
and put yourself out there, and hopefully it connects with people. And
that's it.
you just move forward with that experience.
Let's talk about Asylum.
Sure, sure.
Tell me about Asylum. What does it mean to you?
Um, what does the story mean, or what is it?
Yeah. What does it mean to you in a soulful level?
Oh, on a soulful level.
Yeah, on a
Wow.
spiritual level, bro.
Hmm.
Tough
I,
question, right, Dr.
it
B?
is. I'm trying to figure out how to answer
Yo,
this.
while Dr. B's doing that, man, I'm Joey B. He's Dr. B. This is a Blind Knowledge podcast. Thanks so much for joining us. He is on social media. I am Dr. B6. We are on social media at The Blind Knowledge and blind underscore knowledge on Twitter. So, what do you think, Dr. B? I mean, how does this
um,
one hit you?
th- this story really came about in an interesting way because I was working on my first album, Dragonfire, and what happened was when we were in the middle of post production, the Russian and Ukraine war started,
Oh,
and
okay.
that
Yikes.
affected me personally because my entire staff is in Russia.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I didn't do that on purpose. It was just something that naturally happened over a 4-year period. You're working with all these different artists, and I just, over time, you find people you connect with and you
Yeah.
work well together.
Yeah.
Those guys just happen to be Russian living in Russia.
Right on.
And then the war started. And of course, these guys freaked out just like anybody else would. And they were generally afraid. I could tell you from somebody who was speaking to friends who live in Russia when the war started. They expressed to me pure terror, pure fear, and I had to stop. Like everything was
Wow.
delayed. They were afraid they were going to get drafted. My
Yikes.
lead concept artist fled the country and he literally ran away with his family. They were trying to imprison his father. Like it was crazy.
Whoa, whoa,
So
whoa, whoa.
he's safe
Okay.
now. He's okay. He's living in a different
Oh,
country.
that's a good thing.
He was able to get
Whew.
out. He's okay. But that caused about an 18-month delay in the project. So
Wow.
I wanted
Yikes.
to still create. So I was messing around with some of my old ideas and stories that I created in the past,
Mhm.
and I came up with this story for it's called The Asylum. And this story really takes place, it kind of time jumps. And when you hear the trailer, that's the intro part of the album, and that's told from the perspective of the god of time,
Okay. 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 Whoa, whoa,
right?
whoa, whoa.
Yeah,
Time out. Yo, time out. The God of Time.
yeah. And I thought that was pretty trippy because to give time uh, a voice, right?
Yeah.
An actual face. What does time look like, right? What does time sound like?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I gave it the
How do you
time out, Doctor
interpret
B, because
time?
I don't know, man. I mean, how do you put a face to time?
I don't know. And it was something that I worked on with the voice actor,
Hmm.
and I had a specific idea on how it should sound. And then he
Mhm.
came back to me and he said, John, I think this is really cool, but how about if I do it like this?
No kidding.
And I was like, holy crap, Ricky, you're totally right. Your idea is way, way better. But and so we
Okay.
kind of worked on it together, went
And
back and
sometimes
forth.
in collaborations, that's is a beautiful thing, you know?
But the thing is, the voice actor who plays the God of Time, Ricky's worked on like 20,000 different projects over the past 30 years. He's
Oh, wow.
very well experienced. He knows what he's talking about. So when he tells me,
Gotcha.
"Hey, I have this idea. How about if I do it like this?" I'm always eyes open, ears open. I'm always listening. A lot of times,
Sponge
yeah,
mode.
a lot of
Yeah.
times the concept artist will come back and say, "Hey, I think your idea was cool and the direction, but I thought this angle would be better."
Mhm.
Right? I don't like to limit artists on their art. You have to give all these artists a little bit of freedom so they can create. So they could take your idea and
Absolutely.
say, "Can I add some of my hot sauce to it if you don't mind?
Their own
Can I
hot
do it?"
sauce. Yeah,
Right?
and that's a funny way to say it, but how about just adding some of them to it? Like their
Yeah.
own influence. Like they have to. Like and that's funny that you say that. Like I always watch the Boston Pops for like the
Mhm.
4th of July. And they play the same songs over and over and they do whatever they have the music in front of them, but they don't improv. They're all
Right.
doing what they're told to do. They're not really giving it, like you said, their hot sauce. They
Yeah.
don't get that chance. And you're saying you love it when a musician kind of goes into their own special creative sauce.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed from I wrote a best-selling graphic novel called Elysium: The Holy War. It came out in 2017.
No doubt. Okay.
And I had a lot of prior when I was going through that creation process, I had the opportunity to work with some artists that are from DC Comics. I had the opportunity to work with some artists from Marvel Comics.
That's cool,
I
man.
I had the opportunity to work with some artists that don't have that level of experience, but were just as talented, and
Mhm.
they were in Greece, in Italy, and all these different areas.
Hmm.
And the one thing I learned the most from that whole experience was that you have to give everybody a script. You have to tell everybody, okay, in this scene, in this frame, this is what's happening, and, and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
But
there's
if
got to be
you,
some guidance, right? There's got to
yeah,
be a map of some
of
sort.
course. But if you completely handcuff them and
Yeah.
shackle them
Right, right,
to the script, in other
right.
words, they have no room to breathe. I've noticed I get happier artists, better art, um,
Hmm.
more consistent art, and I get it back faster if I give them a little bit of room to breathe. Sometimes what I do is this, then some probably writers are going to say this is batshit crazy. Sometimes what I do is in every story, and this is the third one I'm working on, is I'll give them a storyboard or a couple of frames and say, this is just the idea that I need displayed in this frame,
Hmm.
but you go ahead and you design it.
So you let them create off of
Yeah.
of
And that's
yours.
important.
Okay.
Every once in a while, you got to give them, hey, let me just do whatever the fuck I want to do.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to use it,
Yeah.
right? Because we might have to redo it or edit it.
Might have to edit it. Yeah.
But 99.9% of the time, when they send it back to me, it's just minor edits that to be done. I don't think I've
Oh.
ever like said no, 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 we can't use this
And
frame.
dude, it's a chance for a flower to bloom.
Yeah, that's very, very important. And Yeah,
It's a
so
chance
that's
for
what
a
I
flower to bloom a new color too. It's a chance for something new to come out of nowhere.
definitely,
It's like
definitely.
you're, and that's awesome. I love that you do that because, um, you know, it's like a guitar solo. Let that damn thing go. It doesn't have to be the same every time. Sometimes it's better when it's improv, and
Yeah, sometimes
um,
it's you're just going with the moment, the
yeah,
feeling, the energy,
yeah,
right?
man, yeah. Let that vibe fly for sure, man.
Yeah, 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 for sure, for sure. So, but I don't think I actually told your listeners exactly what the story is about. So I'll just give them, a little bit of information.
Yeah, break it down,
And
man.
so the story really takes place about the old gods, and
Okay.
in this world, um, the gods are necessary. Like we have the god of chaos, the god of destiny, the god of time, the god of life, the god
Mm,
of death, the serpent god, and we had a lot of fun describing these gods and their purposes. But the general idea of the story is when a human dies, their soul's chosen to fight for one of these gods in a holy war. There is no heaven and hell and a sense of peace. What happens is after you pass on, your body is regenerated and it's chosen by one of these realms. Now, how are they chosen? It's a lot of factors. It's based on not just how you live your life, but it's mostly based on how you see yourself. In other words,
interesting. Very
say
interesting.
you're 5'2", maybe you have low self-esteem, you don't see yourself as, the big football player, strong type. Maybe
Sure.
in real life you don't have a lot of courage, but on the inside,
Okay.
you've always felt like that person. You've always felt like you could be better, be bigger,
Napoleon. Oh no,
right? You could
that's a
help.
weird thing, but um,
That
as
was actually a really good movie, by the way. Yeah,
yes, yes,
that
it
was
was,
awesome.
dude. I agree.
I'm about to watch that again. That was crazy.
Hell yeah. No, it was killer. But it's almost like that Napoleon complex, You can
Yeah,
be 5'2", a buck 30, and just fucking go, go, go.
yeah,
And somehow with all of that determination, especially in music, you come up with something beautiful or something
yeah.
great or something scary or just something different, bro.
So just something unique.
Yeah, unique. That's
Yeah,
a great word for it. Absolutely.
yeah. And I kind of researched these ideas a lot, and I spoke to people a lot. Put up some polls online, and what I found out was the average person really isn't into super religious stories. Like if you're
Nah,
gonna get into God
I
and the
agree.
devil, m- the average person is like, I
Right.
don't know if I really want to,
The average person just wants the high level, I think. They
but
don't want to go too deep.
yeah, well,
What do you
I
think?
think I I think people are willing to go deep if it's something that
Yeah.
interests them,
Okay.
right?
All right. Fair. Yeah.
I think the whole God and the devil thing has just been so done for so many years, and I think
Yeah.
as
That's
time goes
true.
on, there's a lot of people that are religious, but there's a lot of people that aren't religious. And I think what I'm trying to do, I'm not trying to preach religion. What I'm trying to do is just tell an interesting story. So what I decided to do was not get into God and the devil and good versus bad. I decided to create a story where all the gods are necessary. It's not about good or bad, it's about a war that's taking place, and every realm is trying to be higher and bigger and gain more armies and gain more power in this spirit realm, in this spirit world. Why is that? Because they're looking for control.
Control and
And
power.
and
Yeah.
and and at a certain point, now the story kind of time jumps. When you listen to the album, it kind of picks up in the year 2035. And at this point in
Okay.
time in the war, the god of gods has kind of disappeared. She's not making the gods follow the rules. And some of the rules are there's no war that takes place on earth. Like human beings cannot know that these gods actually fully really exist and what's going on.
Okay. So
So
this is some deep shit, man. I'm following
yeah,
along though.
they can't. There's no fighting battles that takes place on Earth. Everybody, you have to give everybody an equal chance to when they pass, their soul goes here, 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 here.
That's
right?
interesting. That'd be
And so
great.
you can't
Huh.
have a God who says, "Well, I have all the best people, so in the afterlife, I have all the best warriors."
Yeah.
No, because now there's no balance. We can't have the God of chaos be stronger than the God of life. Like, how does that make sense, right?
Okay.
And how does that affect the planet and the universe and all planets and all life, right? So at this point in the story, some of the gods start aligning themselves together,
Hmm.
and they get this idea that we can take over other realms and we'll be more powerful, more control, and we will rewrite not just Earth, but all planets. We will rewrite all existence, right? So we
Dr. B,
have,
Dr. B, my head just fucking exploded. This is some wild shit, man. Did you put this in book form?
well, that's the funny thing is, first of all, I had to figure out a way to put this in an album, like audio. How do you make music around this? And how do you make it in a way so people could,
Man, a comic book kind of thing, man. I could see it,
yeah.
you know?
So when I finished the audio album, I was able to do that with the voice actors, but I had all these images and artwork, and I said, you know what, I came up with the idea of doing an art book.
Nice,
So
dude.
the best way to experience this story is to do this: put on the headphones, listen to the album, but pick up the
Mhm.
art book and follow along at the same time.
Okay.
And there's
Okay.
references in the art book that you will hear on the album. So you'll know, okay, this is at this stage when the doctor goes into the kingdom of chaos and he meets Eddie's, right? The god of chaos. Okay, this is what
The
this looks
God
like,
of Chaos.
right? Yeah,
Okay.
like this is what he looks like. This is what the
Gotcha.
environment looks like. And then
Mhm.
I take you to another realm, the god of nightmares. I think for that, for me, was my favorite part to create because that just literally scared the living shit out of me. I thought
Mm.
if I could scare myself, then I'll scare the audience.
Dr. B, we're coming up on 1 hour, brother. We have gotten so deep into who you are, where you started, man. For y'all that just joined us or you just joining us late, this guy, Montreal. We're talking EDM. We're talking opera. We're talking deep musical feeling, man. You know, let me ask you something, man. Have you ever gone to New York City and seen like theater or a play? Have you ever gone to like one of those big shows like, I don't know, Cats or Rent
I
or one of those deals?
I did. I used to live in New York actually. That's how I
Really?
got yeah, that's how I got started out in the music business.
Great pizza.
Oh my god, Ray's Pizza.
Fantastic pizza.
Ray's Pizza. You gotta have
Ray's
Ray.
Pizza. I've actually heard
You
of
gotta
Ray's
have
Pizza.
Ray's Pizza,
Yeah.
man. Their slices are like
That's
massive.
wild, dude. Right on.
Yeah, I did. I One of the first shows I saw was Stomp.
Oh
And
shit, yeah.
that
Stomps was
kind
up.
of that kind of changed the way I saw percussion because I'm naturally a percussionist. So I never thought people could make music like that in that way. That was really messed with my brain. I was
Yeah,
like,
it was just
holy
all
shit.
drums, all banging, all fucking
Yeah,
going, go,
but I
go.
mean, they're like banging on tables and like, using pencils and shit. I was like, I don't use pencils to drum. Like, what the heck? So I
Yeah.
thought that was
Very
pretty
cool.
amazing. I recently saw a show last week. I went to the opera and I saw a show in Toronto at Corner Hall. And honestly, I think this was probably the most artistic thing I've ever seen in my life. It probably was the best thing. The crazy thing is there was barely any music, like actual instruments.
Wow.
It was 99% vocals, and the acoustics in Corner Hall were so amazing. They don't need mics, and there was so much acting that was involved in these performances. And this performance, I didn't know this. It was very religious based. It was all about God and people singing to God and having their soul not go to the
Were
devil.
you just real quick, were you brought up that way or is that something that
I did.
came on later in life?
I like to think. I grew up as a Jehovah Witness, but I
Okay.
really refer to that specific category of Christianity. I think that religion is more of a cult than anything else. I don't think that's a real religion.
Yeah, agreed.
And
Agreed.
when I got of age in my teens, I said, okay, I'm old enough to make my own decisions. So I just said, no, thank you. This is ridiculous. So
Gotcha.
I'm a
Yeah.
Buddhist. I'm a Buddhist now.
You're a Buddhist. Okay.
Yeah, I've
Okay.
been a Buddhist for 15 years, 17 years,
Wow.
something like that.
So,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong. Buddhism, all about reincarnation, the circle, the
I wouldn't say
growth.
it's all about
Break it down for me. Drop
reincarnation.
some knowledge on me, man. What high level? What is it?
Well, if I could kind
Which
of
is
shorten it
probably a
down,
ridiculous question because it's Buddhism, and that would
I'll,
take hours to explain.
I'll give you the short version.
All right, brother.
Okay.
Thank you.
One of the one when you become a Buddhist, or if you're interested in Buddhism, one of the first things it'll explain to you is the Four Noble Truths.
Cool, man.
Okay. I won't get into all four, but the main one is the first one, which is pretty much everything you experience in life is a state of suffering, right? Now, I don't mean it literally everything is a state of suffering. What I mean is everything, if you think about it, will or could potentially lead to a state of suffering. In other words, say you get a new car and you're very happy, but you get into a car accident. So now the car is damaged and now you're sad, right? Now you have a state of suffering.
Wow. What a
My
flip. What a
what
flip.
but as a Buddhist, what I do every day as I get up in the morning, I understand that nothing's permanent. Anything can change. Um, we all have ups and downs,
Yeah.
and we all go through a state of suffering.
Mhm.
The point is that there is an end to that suffering. There is a path that leads you to a state of happiness. You simply have to find that path and then do one thing about it. You just have to walk the path.
Walk the path.
And once you start walking the path and understand that as you go through life, this is a state of suffering, but there's also a state of figuring out that problem. There's also a balance to that where you can be happy. And most of us figure out those issues through meditation. So that
Wow.
would be my short version. I hope I did
Yeah, let's
okay.
keep
And
it
for all
short
the Buddhists listening, if
because
I did a bad job, I'm sorry.
no, that was great. I don't mean it that way. That was great, man. Keep it short because it is, well, Buddhism, and there's books about it.
Yeah,
If
for
you don't
sure.
know what Buddhism is, Google it. Um, yeah, of course. But there's actually, in a serious note, I'm a lot like you. I have my own perspective on organized religion and such.
Hmm.
But I do see Buddhism come up a lot for folks in their older lives.
Hmm.
That they maybe they started out as a Catholic or a Christian or a Protestant or whatever,
Hmm.
and then they kind of go to Buddhism. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's like a hippie thing. I don't know if it's just a spiritual thing. I don't know if it's just Buddhism. But I see that more popular. I see that becoming or has become more popular as the years have gone on. Do you see that a lot?
I well, I've noticed that. And
You
another thing
know,
that I've noticed is that I don't think there's ever been a war started in the name of Buddhism.
that's a great fucking point.
Out of all
Thank
the
you for saying
religions, and
that.
no,
Yeah,
no problem.
because
And
yeah, yeah, the
that kind of
Crusades and all that. Let's start there.
that
But
that kind of stayed
yeah,
with me over the last 15, 17 years.
that's the smartest
Is that
fucking thing I've heard in a long time, Dr. Beers. I'm just gonna say
I'm
that
honored.
because it's so true. Has there ever been a war started in the name of Buddhism?
I really don't think so. I
Y'all, if
really
you're
don't.
listening, watching this, wherever you are, check it out. Google, let us know if we're wrong because I don't think so.
I don't think
I don't
so.
think so,
Now,
man.
the closest to that would be the invasion of China into Tibet, but that was just China
Mm.
taking over Tibet. That had nothing to do with Buddhism or religion.
Yeah, that was more a state, a country kind of
They
thing. That
just we
wasn't really
just
a
want to
religion thing.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
just want to take it over. The fact that
Yeah.
uh, Chinese and Tibetans both follow Buddhism is a
Hmm.
coincidence, but I really don't think the Buddha's name or the religion had anything to do with that war.
I always
So for
found it wild that the Crusades even happened. or
Yeah.
that there are religious wars in the name of God. And I don't know how deep you want to go on this one. We're probably gonna poke a bear, but so it shall be. Um, or the jihad, or like fighting a war for a god. I don't get it, because a god is supposed to be all inclusive, powerful, holy, and peaceful,
Hmm.
from what I understood. Unless you're reading the Old Testament, I mean that god is kind of a badass dick. Um,
Well, that
but
that
then he
book's pretty
becomes a
violent.
nice god. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
it's
He's
pretty
violent
violent,
as hell. Yeah,
right?
and then he switches, and he becomes God becomes Jesus, and Jesus becomes God becomes nice. It's the flip. Is what I'm trying
Yeah,
to say. You get the Old Testament, he's vengeful, and then the New Testament, he's peaceful. But
yeah.
that's a
I'm
whole
not.
nother conversation in
Yeah, for
itself, of
sure, for
course.
sure. I'm not an expert on the New Testament or the Old Testament, although I have read them both many
Oh,
times.
yeah, I have too.
I've
Yeah, I
also
took
read the
theology.
Quran.
You
I've
have?
yeah, well, I have some Muslim friends,
Have
so
you
I
read
did
the
that.
Gita?
No, I haven't.
My
But I
friend, I recommend checking out the Gita.
really, I will.
I've read the first half. It's wild. It's definitely
Really,
wild. Yeah, it's just different. Yeah.
that's amazing. I'm a true believer in. I believe we need all things in terms of um, spiritual growth, personal growth.
Yeah,
What
man.
I maybe I shouldn't say we need all things. We don't necessarily need all things, but what I'm trying to say is that we need to be accepting to all people and all beliefs. Now, I say this from the perspective of let's be reasonable, right? Like
Sure.
I'm not talking about conspiracy theories that you read on Twitter. I'm talking about
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
as
No, it's good
from a
to
Buddhist
say.
perspective, in order to we're very community based, which means we live together. And in our community, we have community problems. And in
Mhm.
our community is multicultural. And how can I speak to my neighbor who might be Muslim, or my other neighbor might be Christian, my other neighbor is Jewish? If we're fighting and arguing and just talking about things that aren't solving problems and community issues, if we're
Right,
not
right.
working together, then how are we solving any problems? We're just arguing. So, from a Buddhist
Yeah, you're just
perspective,
spinning
we
around
truly
going nowhere.
believe,
Yeah.
yeah, we truly believe that we not only need to understand where other people are coming from and their perspectives, you should take time to really learn their religion because you understand the way they think, the
Mhm.
comments that they make. You should understand where they grew up. You should understand their culture, right? You should understand why some cultures will necessarily make a beautiful meal for you, but they eat on the floor. And other cultures, they don't. They have specific tables. If you go to Japan, they eat a different way. There are too many people in this world that like to criticize and that look down upon people. They don't spend enough time looking at the beauty that these other cultures really have and the beauty that they offer. And can I just say this also? There are many, many paths that lead to the same road. So who are you? Who am I to tell anybody don't take that path? We are all on a different path, but we're all walking toward that main road, right? It's
Mm.
like if you just took a shortcut, but you still ended up on that same road. We need to walk that road together and we need to hold hands together. We need to stop looking at the things that make us different in a negative way. The things that, I mean, I myself, I'm multicultural. I mean, my grandmother is literally white from France. She was born in France. My dad's side of the family is Scottish. I'm literally wearing a kilt right now. I mean, that's what we do.
Really?
I mean, yeah, we wear kilts. I mean, I'm literally wearing a leather kilt.
The ladies got jacked up, dude. No one would have ever known that.
And if you see me at my shows, or if you see me just going to the grocery store, 99% of the time you'll see me wearing a kilt,
You're just wearing
right?
kilts out there. No shit,
Yeah,
dude.
bro. That's I do.
Okay.
I have like 5 different ones. I love
Little
my leather
known
ones.
fact about Dr. B. The dude's crushing kilts. All right.
Yeah,
All
and I
right.
don't care. My hair's pink. I don't care what people think.
Yeah, right
I don't
on, man.
care
You
what
you do your
people
you
their
do the damn thing, and
opinions.
I
I
respect
mean,
that. Yeah.
yeah, I just think that we're all different and we should celebrate our differences
Yeah, for
in
sure.
a positive way.
For sure. I agree. I mean, if we're all going to be black and white, why bother?
Yeah, what's
There's
the
always
point,
some
right?
yeah, you got to throw some color in your life.
Yeah,
Be different, right?
yeah.
Um
And more importantly, I always tell people this:
it's not
be
always
kind,
easy.
be
Be
kind and
kind.
compassion and
You know,
compassionate.
it's great. It's a great fact that you brought up there. I'm actually reading this book right now.
Mhm.
Dr. B, Practice Intentional Acts of Kindness.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, you can't see it because of the background. This is
I
with
saw a little bit.
Alan
Yeah,
Questel. I just interviewed Alan Questel. Y'all check it out on the Blind Knowledge podcast. Again, it's Practice Intentional Acts of Kindness. This book is fucking awesome. Like I just kind of read it
that's
like here
amazing.
and there, and it just kind of it keeps me balanced. It's
That's
like
amazing. I'm
yeah, it
happy for
keeps
you,
me
man.
just like nice, and I keep that niceness in me,
That's great.
to spread goodness, spiritually and in the universe to others. It's great stuff, man.
That's beautiful because you could be polluting your mind with nonsense, and you're
It's not
not.
always easy.
You know,
Yeah,
and
it's
and
not
you
always easy to do that.
no,
But
but
that's
you
the
are
goal.
making the conscious choice. You're
Yeah.
deliberately choosing to pick up that book. That book doesn't
Yes,
have to
sir.
be there next to you. You could have put it in
Right.
the garbage. You're an adult. You're free, right? You could do
That's
anything you
true.
want to do, but you chose to keep it. So
Yeah, I
to
was
me,
gonna give it
that
away, but I haven't yet.
that
So
that says a lot.
yeah. Well,
That's
Dr.
amazing.
B, I gotta say, my man, it has been an interesting interview. Definitely not where I thought we were gonna go with this.
We talked about a lot of things.
We talked about a lot of things, y'all. And if you're
Yeah,
just joining us right now here on the Blind Knowledge Podcast, go back, listen to Dr. B. The dude's on point. The dude's on a higher level. And
oh, thank you,
maybe
man.
you'll agree, maybe you'll disagree, but it's all about dropping some knowledge. And that's what we did today. My name is Joey B. Again, that's Dr. B. He's on Spotify. What's another way to find you, my man? Are you doing any live shows coming up?
No, not anytime
Not right
soon.
now.
I'm also
Okay.
a full-time university student,
How about
and I'm
you got any books going on?
well. I have this album will be coming out. I'm hoping later this year,
Right on.
but the delay, it's finished. But I do have some publishers that are interested in the art book.
Sweet, man.
So because of that, there's some interest there. I'm negotiating and talking to them about it, and I
Well,
think they
shit, dude.
also
I
want
want
to
it
take
on
advantage
blind
of the music.
Dr. B, I want it on blindknowledge.com in our merch shop for sure. If it's cool with you.
For sure, for sure. That
See,
sounds
that's
great to me.
fucking cool. Yo. Hey folks. We're gonna fucking bounce out of here. And yo, check out Dr. B. He's on Spotify. Did you just type in Dr. B? Is that how we found you?
I think so. Yeah, Dr. B. Or you could also put in one of my songs like Dr. B Tranquilo, Feeling, I Need a
Tranquilo
Doctor.
is a beautiful song.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Beautiful
I
song.
had a lot of fun making that song.
And I had a lot of fun in this interview, my brother.
It
Come
was
back
great.
again sometime soon, for sure.
I will. I will. I had so much fun. Thank you.
All right. And if you didn't know, he has a kilt on, folks. He has a kilt on. Yo, we'll see you next time, Dr. B.
Take it easy, bro.
And yo, out there, man, my name is Joey B. This is the Blind Knowledge Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you need a kilt, talk to Dr. B. He's over on Spotify. We are done. We are out. I'm thirsty. And if you haven't told someone you love them today, definitely do that. All love here. Peace.